American football, with all its action and excitement, is coming to Britain. This year's Super Bowl winners, the Chicago Bears, and the champions of the National Football Conference East, the Dallas Cowboys. They don't like each other, and when they clash, feelings run high. The Wembley Football Rodeo. Can the Cowboys ride the Bears? The Cowboys are ready. And here come the Bears. No, you're absolutely right. I'm not JR, but I am a real American football fan, and so are these gentlemen here.
Yeah, Ravens, yeah, #1. Let's go.
In fact, the interest over here is so big, of course, that the National Football League's decided to send over two of its top teams, the Chicago Bears,
No.
and one of the other top sides in the States, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
What are they going to do? They're going to check out the form of the London Ravens.
Yeah, let's go. We're ready.
You ready for that?
Yeah, you bet.
And I gather Dick has sent over a spy to video some of your games.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
I'm going to make mincemeat out of Too Tall Jones. I could teach a fridge a thing or two.
McMahon gets his tips from me.
Tony Dorsett could sure use some of our blocking.
Tony Hill could really use hands like mine.
Well, let's see who's really going to bottle out, because the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be here in action, in the flesh.
Yeah!
And the peace of Hyde Park might be broken by some rousing pre-game practice. But it won't all be work. The teams are looking forward to sightseeing in London like any other eager tourist, from Parliament Square and Big Ben to Trafalgar Square and Lord Nelson. They'll also go shopping and take in the theatre. But the climax of this transatlantic odyssey of two of America's top football teams will be the big game, the American Bowl at Wembley Stadium. Let's get serious, though, for a moment, because we've got a big game at Wembley Stadium on August the 3rd, the Cowboys against the Bears. But I want to know, are you going to be watching the teams or an individual or what?
I'll be looking out for an individual, the most valuable player in the last Super Bowl, Richard Dent. To me, he's the best, and I'd like to learn something from him.
Are you going to be learning from anybody?
Walter Payton. His running style is incredible.
Absolutely worth the price of a ticket to Wembley, but an individual from your point of view, or
Well,
team?
for me, it's my best chance to see two of the best teams in the world competing here in London.
Absolutely right, but there must be something technical or tactical you're looking out for.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Cowboys pass receivers up against the defensive backs of the Bears.
Yeah, I can see you're offence-minded.
No, defence, that's the thing. For me, defence wins football games.
Well, we've got two great teams coming up in action. Let's see how the game is played. The game is played in howling blizzards at Soldiers Field, Chicago, on the frozen shores of Lake Michigan, in front of thousands of dedicated football fans in their anoraks, prepared to brave the elements for 4 hours just to see their heroes play. The game's also played at Dallas in the vast Texas Stadium, sealed against the weather in front of equally dedicated fans in their shirt sleeves. And those Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. The game is played by outstanding athletes like Cowboy running back Tony Dorsett, who thrills the crowds with his elusive and startling speed. And the Chicago Bears' great running back Walter Payton combines amazing skill with the power to run right through defenders. This year, however, there's a man who stars on both defense and offense. Scarcely a hidden weapon. He's a legend in his own time. William Perry, the 22-stone refrigerator. Here, Perry, number 72, is going to create his own offensive strategy by trying to carry Walter Payton across the goal line. Nice idea, but it's illegal, so he's penalised for his creativity.
Going into the hands, number 72, he was pushing the runner.
Yes, what he did just isn't cricket. Watch again how this huge man can move that massive bulk around. He's got just one idea in his mind. He wants to get that ball, with or without his teammate, across that line. The inspiration for using the 305-pound defender as an attacker comes from his coach, Mike Ditka, himself a famous offensive hero as a player. Mike played for the Bears as an outstanding aggressive tight end for 12 years. After receiving a pass, you can see the power of number 89 there. As a runner back in the early 60s, shedding 5 tacklers in this long game. "20 years later, he's brought the same fiery style to his job as head coach of the Chicago Bears. Mike's inspired coaching paid off in the Super Bowl when the Bears won their first ever World Championship. Tom Landry, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, couldn't be more different in style and in temperament. The cool and reserved Landry has built a dynasty in Dallas. The new Cowboys Center reflects Landry's scientific high-tech approach to football. This training facility contains a computer center, classrooms, their own film lab, and the latest training equipment. For 26 years, one of the most successful coaches in the NFL, winner of 2 Super Bowls, Landry presides impassively over his corporation. And like a modern Svengali, dictates every single move to his quarterback, Danny White. White is an enigma. After 10 years with the Cowboys, he's finally made the quarterback spot his own. Last season, an average of 6 out of every 10 passes were successfully completed. And he can use his hands to catch cleanly too. Here he hands off to one of his backs and takes the opposition completely by surprise as he pops up just short of the goal line and catches that pass neatly to score a touchdown. And when he gets into trouble, he's prepared to scramble, to improvise, and he can still cause trouble. But of course, it's those accurate passes that do most of the damage. In this Wembley match, he'll want to prove that the quarterback job is his for the season, and he's got a score to settle. When the Cowboys were hammered 44-0 by the Bears last year, he suffered a knockout, concussion, and missed the following match. So it's a test of White's nerve as well as his skill. Talk about unorthodox, and you're talking about Bears quarterback Jim McMahon. He doesn't have the best throwing arm in the league, but like White, he can be inspired when he scrambles. He almost seems to play better when things are going wrong. But when you play behind a defense as big, tough and uncompromising as the Bears, things don't often go wrong for the man who last season completed over 60% of his passes and threw for some 2,400 yards. Another great play there. Thanks to those huge linemen, those men who give him time and room in what they call the pocket.
To me, I'm one of the guys. I enjoy being around, the other people, my linemen especially. You can't be a great quarterback without people surrounding you.
You certainly need friends to bump off the opposition. But even by American standards, he's regarded as a wacky extrovert, with those wraparound shades, odd haircuts, and all the headbanging that's become his trademark. But anything that White can do, McMahon can do better, using that uncanny knack of turning a busted play into a great one. Or even, look out for number 9, going out and catching a pass. But in the end, it's throwing the passes that does the damage. It's McMahon's leadership on the field, his outrageous brashness, and his ability to call his own plays that has helped the Bears to that first ever Super Bowl title. And in scoring 2 touchdowns himself, taking Chicago to the most one-sided victory in Super Bowl history. Quite simply, McMahon is the sort of quarterback that likes to be involved. I must say I wouldn't be surprised if the idea of scoring a touchdown himself at Wembley rather appealed to him. As we've heard, quarterbacks are really only as good as their linemen. Here they set up a sort of shield, which creates the pocket that their man needs, giving him that time and room to deliver the killer blow. If those offensive linemen fail, then the quarterback may have to scramble or die with the ball, and certainly expect to be battered by the opponent's defensive linemen, who are very big and very quick over 5 yards. This is the Bear defensive line. Their target is to sack or tackle the quarterback, to get the ball and scare the psychological living daylights out of him. Look out for number 95, Richard Dent of the Bears. He burst through 17 times last year. And in a moment, we'll be back to see if it'll be a picnic for the Bears up at Wembley, or whether those Cowboys can rope them in. It's standing room only at Wembley on August the 3rd for the American Bowl. The Super Bowl champions, the Chicago Bears, facing what's called America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, in a star-studded lineup. Stars like the Dallas running back Tony Dorsett, who already has a place in history, with 11,000 yards gained in 10 years as a pro, and only 5 men have ever done better than that. In a sport that seems to feature giants, Dorsett relies on sheer blistering speed to run for daylight, spotting gaps in defenses, slipping, spinning through them. He can run with the ball, and of course he can catch it too. And his tussle with what's called Chicago's secondary, that's their deep defense against the pass, could be one of the highlights at Wembley. But when it comes to history, Walter Payton has already set targets that few will think of matching. He's rushed for an amazing 15,000 yards. And that's 2,000 more than anyone else. Last season, he clocked up a massive 1,550 yards. Sometimes regarded as a mere powerhouse, he in fact has moves that no one else can make, and an ability to feint or fake that leaves opponents cross-legged in despair. Without a doubt, you'll see one of the game's all-time greats in action at Wembley. But sport is about more than super achievers. It needs a dollop of characters to make it fun. And last season, the media discovered William Perry, the refrigerator. A rookie or new boy just a year ago. Now he's a national figure in the USA. The fat kid of 24 stone slimmed down and joined the powerful Bears defense. But the crowds really went wild when they handed him the ball.
I love scoring, but I never thought it would come as a running back in the NFL. And I was happy about that and overwhelmed about it because it tickled me inside to death.
He can sack quarterbacks, block for Peyton, score touchdowns. So with Coach Ditka's sense of humour, expect the fridge to throw a pass at Wembley. If there's one facet of the American game that gets fans on their feet, it's a long forward pass to a fast runner, and they don't come much faster than the Cowboys' Tony Hill, who held 74 catches last season to gain over 1,000 yards with 7 touchdowns. And if Danny White doesn't aim for Hill, then keep an eye on Mike Renfro. He pulled in 60 receptions for 8 touchdowns, Mr. Reliable. For Chicago, Jim McMahon can go for tight end Emery Moorhead, just for a change from Peyton. But when it comes to dazzling pace, there's only one man he looks for. That's former US Olympic sprint star, Willie Gault. Equally exciting can be interceptions, a nightmare for quarterbacks, but meat and drink to the Bears and Cowboys secondaries. They led the league 34 to Chicago, 33 to Dallas, and that was Victor Scott in action there for the Cowboys. And what about Everson Walls, the #1 in the league, with 9 individual interceptions? But the Bears are no slouches. There goes cornerback Mike Richardson. He grabbed 4 misplaced passes last season. And look out for Reggie Phillips. He had a heaven-sent opportunity as an absolute new boy in the Super Bowl to romp home against the deflated Patriots. The toughest of the tough are the defensive tackles. The Cowboys' Randy White, no relation to Danny, is rated the best of all time by many. So watch out, Jim McMahon. Number 72, Too Tall Jones, he's another veteran lineman who eats running backs for breakfast. For Chicago, it's number 95, Richard Dent, voted most valuable player in this year's Super Bowl. And now you can see why. And finally to the kickers, Raphael Septrien scored 99 points with his boot for Dallas last season. But for Chicago, the astonishing Kevin Butler, in only his first season as a pro, is the league's highest individual scorer with 144 points. Punts and kickoffs are important too, so much so that there are even specialists to catch and return the ball. And if you're Chicago's Dennis Gentry, you run them straight back up the field. And you keep on going, and going, and going, and score. I must say, every time I see moves like that, I'm left absolutely breathless. Are you overawed by what you see?
Absolutely incredible. I mean, those guys are fantastic. They're fantastic athletes. Their execution is brilliant. And, you know, they're just good at everything that they do. But then again, they've been playing all their lives. You know, we've been playing for about 5 years. But in that time, we've managed to build ourselves up to a decent American college level. And we've got a serious league going over here, the Budweiser League, in which we play every weekend. Okay, we train 5 nights a week, and we just like the public out there to take us seriously.
I'm sure they will if they come along and watch, because you mustn't be too overawed by those Americans. I think you'll find that they're human too, you know.
Here comes William Perry into the offensive lineup, the refrigerator.
Peyton tells them where to go. Fuller's telling them where to go. Look, they're switching. Uh-oh, they fouled it up.
He didn't know where to go.
The refrigerator's been playing too much defense. They got out there, they got the refrigerator delivered, they just didn't know which wall it went on. You see that? He was playing fullback, then he went to halfback, then back to fullback. They got him into place, they just didn't know where to put him.
It's ironical, isn't it, that it isn't Dorsett or Jones, Peyton or McMahon that's a cult figure around the world? Ah, so it's that man Perry, big from Telford to Tokyo.
彼をダミーにした形で行きましたよね。そうですそうです。これがペリーです。手前側です。ペリーが行った。やりましたね。すごいですね。弾き飛ばしましたよ今。すごいすごいすごい。ペリーが喜ぶ。お相撲さんで言いますと初場所活躍しました旭富士関と同じぐらいの体重です。大学3年4年とオールアメリカンでした。実に41点のリード。さあフェリーリプレーそれいけドーン見事なタッチダウンでした。
We've seen some of the stars on both sides, but with something like 45 men in each squad, a dozen coaches to organise them, and enough game plans to keep a computer expert busy for a week, American football at the very highest level is a complex game, especially when the Bears and the Cowboys are in action. The Big Bears look favourites on paper to me to rip the Cowboys apart, but those Texans, well, they're very proud. They want revenge for last season's humiliating defeat. And they want to show you why they're America's team. Will the Cowboys ride the Bears? Well, no, I'm going to back the Fridge and his mates to freeze Dallas. But all will be revealed at Wembley Stadium when, for the first time ever in Britain, the NFL have organised a clash of two of the top teams in the USA. Another chapter in Wembley's history, the Super Bowl champions, the Chicago Bears, taking on the champions of the National Football Conference East, the Dallas Cowboys.